Hi all, so I wanted to do some reflections on week one. So as I mentioned before, I went to a lot of different orientation sessions this week that ranged from, talking about our housing and the policies around that to different sessions about what it's like to live as a local, as well as like a resume workshop where we learned about, kind of how to optimize our resume not only for US jobs, but also jobs in Denmark as well. So I really took advantage of all these sessions because they all had really good information. And another benefit too was that, attending these different sessions helped me understand like where rooms on the campus were. So DIS has a bunch of different buildings kind of within the city. And so it was helpful to like learn how to get to some of these sessions because then I learned like where different buildings were and how to get to different floors. So that was super helpful. So another thing I've been experiencing is jet lag. So my sleep schedule is definitely off. I go to bed really early, like 7 or 8 p.m., and then I'll wake up at like 5 a.m., which is obviously not ideal. So I'm slowly trying to kind of move it so it's more regular for this time zone, thanks to the help of ZQuil. Another observation is that the architecture here is very different from home, which I love. Everything is so unique and each building is so distinct from another. And so it's fun just like walking down the street and seeing all the unique buildings. And another piece of that too is that most of the like restaurants and shops are underneath apartment buildings, and so I'll see a lot of like shops that are like halfway underground, so that the apartment buildings are still accessible on top. So that's really interesting, which I think is more common in cities, but not something I'm used to seeing at home. There's also not much greenery in the city, so it's really just like all buildings and streets, which is a little bit different. But as you kind of get outside of Copenhagen, obviously you see a lot of greenery, but like in the heart of the city, there's really not much at all. Another thing is everything is super expensive here because everything is very heavily taxed, which is kind of just the way that their government works, where they have higher taxes, but then they have a lot more included, like medical care and schooling. But it's something that I definitely want to keep in mind because even just like going out to eat at McDonald's is kind of expensive, or if you want to buy clothes, like that's more of an investment. So it's something that I'm kind of aware of and careful of, because it is more expensive here than it is back at home. Another thing is that a few of us went and visited kind of a student center in the city, and so it's like an international student center that both international students and Danish students can kind of come, and it's like a cafe, bar, hangout place, which was super cool. And so we went and just checked it out, and they actually had like swing dancing there, which was kind of cool. It was more of like a Lindy Hop style, but they have various events there, and so we were just kind of hanging out, and we had actually like a few Danish students come up and talk to us, which was really cool to be able to like speak with them a little bit, and get to know them. So it was a cool experience. Another thing I went to this week was a sustainable boutique that DIS put on. So basically, previous students can leave things behind to then give to new incoming students. And so it's all for free. So you basically just go, and if there's anything you want to take, you can take it. And so it's a great idea and a good way to be more sustainable with things and not be buying things that people don't want to use. And so I went after class, and so there wasn't much left, but I did find some good like around the apartment shoes that I've been wearing. We also went to a flea market on Saturday, which was really interesting. It was basically just a bunch of people like selling their clothes. So it was like a bunch of garage sales together. And so we walked around. It was super busy. We didn't end up getting anything, but definitely a cool experience. They also only use mobile pay, which is something that you can use if you have a Danish phone number. So that was interesting too, because they don't use a ton of cash here. We also started classes this week, which I'll talk more about later. Another update is that I applied to be an official DIS videographer, and I got an email saying that I moved into the next round of candidates. And so they've asked me to create just a minute-long video of footage that I've gotten here that's kind of what it's like to be a DIS student, and so I'll submit that and then hope to hear back from them soon.